Mate, welcome to Wooden Bong. Hey, you could be home right now macking on a wooden bong. Because I know I used to be macking on the wooden bongs pretty well every day, watching YouTube, wasting my life away. And if you know, you know. The wooden bong can really creep up on you, like smoking weed. It's not a very hard drug. A lot of people find themselves doing it way too much. They find themselves doing it every day. I know that I did it almost every day for about 20 years. And now that I say that out loud, I realize how disgusting that is to say out loud. That I was so focused on smoking a substance that, yeah, it's natural. A lot of people call it plant medicine. And I'm sure there's a lot of medical benefits for it, especially these days. We're starting to, more and more studies are coming out how the benefits of the wooden bong. But with me personally, I had no ailments or no diseases that I needed to be smoking the wooden bong every day. But I did it for enjoyment. I did it for leisure. But it's a funny thing when you do that too much. It creeps up on you. With me personally, it sapped me of my confidence. It really heightened my anxiety. And ultimately, it isolated me from a lot of parts of society because I was so focused on just getting home. It's a funny thing, smoking weed. Like, it starts off funny. You get the giggles, you do it with your friends. It's all good fun. But then later on down the track, you find yourself at home doing it by yourself, just sitting in front of the TV, just sitting there doing nothing, letting your body waste away, letting your life waste away. And that's what I did. And that's what a big part of this challenge is this, to try to realize our greatest versions. We're not going to realize our greatest versions if we're addicted to a substance. Whatever substance that is, whether you think smoking weed isn't like it's not a hard drug. I'm lucky I never really gravitated towards hard drugs. I like my sleep. So I did try a lot of things in my life, but I always had a problem with smoking weed. That was definitely my biggest problem. That was the thing that held me back. You might not think it's holding you back if you are having a go on the wooden bong, but I can guarantee you that it is. And getting sober from whatever addiction you may have, if you don't have an addiction, that's fantastic. Don't ever get addicted to a substance. You're not going to live a better life. But if you are watching this and you do have an addiction, think about breaking free from that addiction as the greatest challenge of your life until now, like the greatest challenge of your life to date. And that's what it was for me. And I knew that I had to break free from that addiction to realize a greater version within myself. So I embraced that challenge. I know times in the past when I would run out of my supply that I would feel highly, highly agitated. And I knew that when I went cold turkey and completely got rid of the wooden bong, that I would feel that heightened agitation and the sleepless nights. When you smoke weed, when you try to quit, you get night sweats as well. I believe that's very common for people that have smoked a lot of the wooden bong. And you can't sleep at night. You feel agitated. You don't feel like yourself. And it's usually that period where you go out and try to seek more just to get rid of that agitation. But you've got to learn to embrace it. It might take you a week. It might take you a couple of weeks. It really doesn't take long, the weed addiction, to break that cycle. The first 3 days is always going to be the hardest. And embrace that agitation. That agitation is your body or your addiction screaming for you to go and get more. But embrace it. Have the sleepless nights where you only sleep like 2 hours in the night. Don't just lay in your bed. If you are trying to get rid of a weed addiction and you find that you can't sleep, don't lay in your bed. Reading a book, just reading words on the page, whatever type of book you want to read, just reading words makes you really tired. That can help you. But embrace that. Clean your space. You know what I mean? Clean your bedroom, clean your entire house, clean out all your drawers in your kitchen, clean everything. That's what I did over about a 3 or 4 day period to help break my addiction from the wooden bong. Because, mate, I used to love the wooden bong. So if you want to become your greatest version and you find you have an addiction, you're not going to become your greatest version relying on a substance. And being sober is the best thing you could ever do. Trust me, life gets better. Life gets so much better when you're sober. When you're not relying on any substance, alcohol, weed, any sort of hard drugs. People don't usually get addicted to psychedelics. There might be a time and a place for those types of things like mushrooms or ayahuasca. But if you find yourself gravitating towards a substance every day, know that you're missing out on life. I've realized that now, and I've been sober for a little bit more than it's only 4 months. A little bit more than 4 months I've been completely sober off weed, and I don't want it. I was staying at a hostel recently where I relapsed and drank a bit of alcohol, but there was people there smoking a joint, and I would have loved that in my previous life. And I was able to say no. And that was a huge thing for me, being able to say no to something and realize that now that I've got over that initial hurdle of trying to get sober, your life gets so much better. Life is better when you're sober. Your cognitive ability, you can think clearer, you feel better in yourself. I'll let the truck go past. I'll let the wooden bonk truck go past because it's usually pretty quiet in these country towns, but it seems to be busy as soon as I pull the camera out. But life's better when you're sober, especially with weed. Like, you think when you first start smoking weed, you get the giggles and everything gets funny, but then eventually it saps your humor. You don't seem to find the funny side in things anymore. You're just sitting there brain dead and stoned. And that's not that funny. Everything starts to come back. Like the way you can smile at things and enjoy things, it's better when you're sober. So just coming from me, who spent a lot of my life on the wooden bong, macking on the wooden bong every single day, and now that I'm sober, my life is infinitely better. So if that can inspire you to kind of get rid of whatever substance you're addicted to, maybe if it's alcoholism, I know that that's probably the worst one, because if you're a really bad alcoholic, I was always a binge drinker. I was never a bad alcoholic, but I always was a heavy binge drinker. And that one's easy to quit cold turkey. But if you're an alcoholic, I know that you can't actually quit that cold turkey. You got to kind of weed yourself off. But with weed, and if you're macking on the wooden bong every night, you need to quit cold turkey and embrace that agitation. Know what you're about to face and realize this is the greatest challenge of my life, is to free myself from this addiction. And smoking weed is so popular, and I think now it's become even more prevalent because it's so readily available through medical marijuana, and it's becoming legal in parts of the States. People travel halfway across the world in this country just to go to Amsterdam just to smoke legal weed. You know what I mean? And I suppose if you just do it and smoke it in Amsterdam and that's your one shot, but people smoke weed every day. And if you're that type of person, you've got to start to realize that it's super detrimental on your life. You're never going to be and achieve something greater within yourself if you're still holding on to that addiction. So we're here in Wollongong. We haven't quite made it to the desert yet because, as you can see, it's very overcast. And I came out to the countryside or the desert to look at the beautiful night sky. And we unfortunately won't get a beautiful night sky at the moment. So, which is pretty funny, we're going to actually head from the Wollongong into a town called Nimbin. And if you are an Australian, you already know what I'm talking about. So we're here in Wollongong, and the town called Nimbin, which is about an hour and a half away from here, is the ganja capital of Australia. And I'm sure if I went there and I was still smoking, it would take a second to find a nice big bag of the greenest ganja you've ever seen, the sticky icky. And a funny thing, van life, because we're van lifing it out here in the middle of Australia, is previously I used to love road trips when I was smoking the wooden bong all the time. And the best thing about road trips was actually smoking. And now that I'm not doing it, it opens your eyes up to so much more. Like, you feel better. It might be funny. You might think it's funny smoking weed, but ultimately, if you're the type of person that only does it here and there, maybe this message isn't for you. But if you're the type of person that's doing it every day, you need to realize that it's so detrimental on your life. Don't do what I did. Don't leave it too late. Don't wake up one day and you realize you've wasted a lot of your life doing that. Catch it now. This will be my message to those people, is catch yourself now. Use this challenge of a 9-month life transformation challenge, 3 months working on the body, 3 months working on the mind, 3 months working on the soul. We don't lose the body out through the whole 9 months. We don't lose the mind once we start to pick up the mind. And then once we finish this journey and we're working on our body, mind, and soul after these 9 months, you will have completely manifested a brand new person. I know that for a fact. I know that because the journey that I've walked, it's only been a little bit more than 4 months. And my entire life has changed so much for the better. My internal state is, I feel like I could never be sad again. Like, my anxiety is gone. And that's just from these simple steps, just through exercise mainly, and just through self-talk, manifestation techniques. Who knows what we're going to be able to achieve when we start to pick up a deep spiritual practice. So we're going to head now to Nimbin, because I've never been in Nimbin. And Nimbin's the ganja capital of the world. So it's pretty funny, cruising through Wollongong. Mate, there's so many cars driving past, so I apologize for the noise. But we're going to go check out Nimbin. And I might try to show you a little bit of the town. And it's the ganja capital of the world, so we might even just see people smoking weed on the street. They have like a big festival there called Mardi Gras, which happens around the Easter period or just after Easter. So Australia, mate. Funny names of towns. So Wollongong. If you are on the Wollongong, try to get off the Wollongong. Your life's going to be better. Life's better when you're sober. Trust me, your humor comes back. Everything starts to lighten up. Your ability to think, your ability just to enjoy things. That's the funny thing about addiction. Let me just say it again, is when you get addicted to a substance, or when you start to try a substance, it's all about trying to have fun. And I understand that. It's all about enjoyment and having fun. You know what I mean? Either it be having fun by yourself, or having fun with your friends and your peers, or just going out and getting loose. But the thing is, that fun very quickly is no more fun. It turns into an addiction. It turns into a dependency. And as soon as that fun goes away and you find yourself dependent on something, you're sapping your life. You really need to get away from that. You need to try to realize that you getting sober is the greatest challenge, and embrace that agitation. Embrace it. If you know that you're going to be agitated, itchy, not feeling good for a week, a couple of weeks, embrace that. Like, go through that challenge. Time's going to slow down when you try to get sober. The clock's going to go tick, tick. Every hour seems like an eternity. A day seems like an eternity. But know that you can get through it, and embrace it. Embrace that agitation. Have as many showers as you can, because water can help. Like, just embrace it. Do whatever you need to do to try to distract yourself. Or even if you do what I did, I just sat in it. I just sat in it, and I knew that it was going to pass, and know that that agitation of that is going to pass. And the more that agitation, it's your addiction screaming at you to relapse. So don't let that happen. Get sober, guys. Getting sober, and you're going to realize life is so much better when you're sober. It's so much better. It might take away a little bit of your social, but hopefully people that are still stuck in that social field of taking drugs, drinking too much alcohol, the bar scene, you're gonna meet a whole new group. Your vibe attracts your tribe, is what they say. So get rid of your addictions, try to get off the Wollongong, and I'll see you guys in the ganja capital of Australia, Nimbin, and we'll check it out and have a bit of a look. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, because Gypsy Soldier is taking this channel all across Australia, all across the galaxy, mate. We're out here becoming our greatest versions, and become your greatest version, because the world needs you. So I'll see you guys in a little bit, like an hour and a half. We'll go to Nimbin. Woo! Let's go. So we are here in Nimbin. It seems like a pretty cool, funky little town, but almost touching on what, I won't speak too loud, it's very early in the morning. Almost touching on what I was speaking about in the previous video. These types of towns, I'm sure they started off well, like as a hippie commune and promoting peace and love, but unfortunately, these types of places tend to attract a lot of like substance addiction, which is what I was talking about in the last video. And with substance addiction, you get fear, you get a lot of anxiety, and ultimately you get a lot of misery. So I don't know, I'm not going to call myself an empath, or like I'm kind of highly intuitive, and I do trust my instincts, and I feel as though I can feel a little bit of energy, and there's a heavy energy here in Nimbin. Like, it's heavy. So I've tried to get a little bit of sleep here, but I haven't been able to sleep very good, and I'm going to leave now early in the morning instead of trying to do like some tour when the sun comes up. It's about 3, a little bit past 3 in the morning, and we're going to jet to Byron Bay and get like a nice ocean sunrise. So this is kind of Nimbin. This is it, you know what I mean? It's like one funky little main street. And I'm sure the intention is good, but with substance addiction, I can feel it. I can feel the heavy energy. I can feel almost like there's a lot of misery here and a lot of sadness. So I'm sure it started out with a really good idea of peace and love and freedom, but sometimes these types of places start to attract people that have substance addiction, even mild cases of mental illness, unfortunately. And there is definitely a super heavy energy here in Nimbin. If you are from Nimbin, I do apologise if I don't mean to offend you at all, but that's just how I feel here. I feel as though there's definitely some heaviness. And I felt that because I went and had a meal here and was able to, I'm good at observation, so I was able to observe the people that are here, and yeah, a lot of rainbows, there's a lot of colours in this town, there's a lot of obviously peace signs, and I suppose they think that they're searching for something spiritual, but then again, you know what I mean, what I've realised in myself is that when you're taking a substance too much, you're looking for something external. You're not realising it internally inside yourself. So here at my van, the world's greatest van, and let this car go past. Even all the seats have rainbows and stuff on them. It's pretty cool. I'm sure there is times when the energy here is good, but when you're seeking for something external outside yourself and you're not finding peace within yourself, you're always going to be what's called a spiritual seeker, because you're seeking for something external, and it's not out there. It's inside us, I believe. And I think that's what I found inside myself. So instead of being a spiritual seeker, you know what I mean, you want to become a spiritual finder. Yeah, and that's about finding yourself, ultimately. So here in Nimbin, friggin' early in the morning, and we're going to head to Byron Bay and try to catch like a really nice beach sunrise. So that should be cool. So let's off to Byron Bay, where it's mad. And you might probably heard of Byron Bay. It's a really famous town in Australia. It's very beautiful. And again, that's kind of similar to Nimbin. It's very close to here, but different kind of energy, more of an uplifting energy in Byron Bay. So we'll go check that out.